What's up, everybody? Welcome. We're live here on YouTube. This is the Space Water Podcast, episode 22, and I'm glad to be here with everybody. We'll wait for some people to join as well. Shout out to Magic Micah for making my awesome background. My wifey made that really cool. Welcome to episode 22 of the Space Water Podcast, sponsored by the Mystical Spiral Store.com. We'll show you guys the amazing store until some people join. Let me get that pulled up for you guys as well. You guys, of course, can find me at the mysticalspiralstore.com. You can also find me at the mysticalspiral.com and patreon.com/the mystical spiral if you want to get access to my groundbreaking research. And people, I'm giving you some of the most incredible information, knowledge, and wisdom about the ancient writings and about who we are, some of the mythologies that scholars have been debating about for hundreds, if not longer, hundreds of years, if not longer. So this is really incredible, groundbreaking translations that you're getting, knowledge of the adepts reawakening within us. There's many ancient ancestral scribes that are reemerging on the planet now, and many of us are coming now to a reawakened knowledge before we lose it forever. In the past, it was very important for very ancient knowledge, secrets about the universe and about nature to be etched in stone, etched in tablets, etched in things that will not be destroyed, things that will survive cataclysms and things like that. And now, instead of doing that, we're uploading everything into the internet, and there's a possibility we can lose this forever. So you guys, please remember the ancient past, where we have some of the most incredible ancient writings that still have survived to this day. Some of the ancient Sanskrit, even down to the Holy Bible. There's ancient knowledge embedded in there. And it's a shame that the Holy Bible has been translated and mistranslated so many times. So many times. Let me see. So here's we're sponsored by my website, themysticalspiralstore.com. You guys can see all new products are up. I'll wait for some people to join up in the chat room. There we got Magic Mike is in the house. Here's our store, the Mystical Spiral Store, sponsoring tonight the Space Water Podcast right here. And look at this beautiful items we just put up today. All new items. We got fluorite mini skull. We got the moss agate mini skull. All these new ones. Watermelon tourmaline specimen. Every day I'm putting up new items. I put up a few today. Johnny's in the house. What's up? This is the Space Water Podcast, everybody. You're just tuning in. We're just getting started here tonight. We're going to go deep. Tonight, we're going to be talking about some of the cosmic, not just cosmic races that are involved with plasma and the secrets of nature and the universe, but we're going to be talking about some of the most incredible avatars and deities from mythology that scholars have been wondering about and debating about for many, many years. We're going to be talking about the possible origins of this information and the significance behind it. Everybody that's researched Hinduism, ancient Vedic, many of those ancient gods, they talk about solar mythologies, right? Solar information. And we're going to be getting into the depth of some of the advanced knowledge the ancient seers, their deep sight was pulling in, and how just our advanced sciences of today are just starting to show you and be able to prove what they were discussing. And unfortunately, scholars have been talking about this for hundreds of years and mistranslating most of it and using it in a very primitive, descriptive way. Right? There's nothing primitive about these ancient writings. What's primitive is the way that we've been translating it. And when you're discussing solar, the amount of solar phenomenon and plasma phenomenon that's discussed in the Vedas and every other ancient culture, some has vast amounts of extraordinary evidence. In fact, the whole existence of the Vedic bloodlines is due to solar cosmic stellar origins. And the origin story of the Vedics, before we go into Garuda even, you guys can see the website up right now. This is the Mystical Spiral store sponsoring tonight's show. And before we even go into Garuda, we'll pull. I'm wearing one of these today. I wore this all day long. One of the Agartha Gathena amulets. In fact, that's my last. This is the last of the Azurite Malachite, because somebody had bought the tower already, and things are going quick. So I highly recommend people to get. This is wholesale prices on some of these as well. And if you wanted to get like even a wholesale package of labradorite, we could do a lesser price for the labradorite palm stones and certain items here. We got everything from amethyst, geode clusters, new today, rainbow moonstone, all the highest quality. And the pendants are next level. I also made a couple of mini pendants for people, all price ranges. So you could get the shungite. Look at it, and this is high level shungite that even has a rainbow in it. Little mini, these are so cute. Little mini shungite pendants. And if you want the more advanced pendants of shungite and copper and silver, then you would go with the twisted ones. But we got high level shungite. You got right here, this is a next level right here. Really big piece. The royal cubit, twisted silver and copper. Definitely worth it. And this is one of my favorite pieces as well. The labradorite gem cabochon with the twisted tensor coil around it. Incredible. You can get all these pendants only here at the Mystical Spiral store, all custom made, own creations. I really like the spirit quartz as well. This right here is one of my favorites. Incredible royal cubit, twisted copper tensor coil. And you guys can see the incredible candle-like formations of the spirit quartz. Dope. So worth it, everybody. Definitely worth it. And that's over 44 inches of twisted copper in there to make up that piece. Really incredible. We got phantom quartz here. Oh, look at the Super 7 gem. Then we'll get into tonight's show. Look at that. Incredible. Dream Seer talisman. This is a Super 7 scepter gem with the very high quality red line inside of it. You guys can see the red line in there. Look at that. That's throughout it. Very, very highly sought after. Rare Super 7 scepter. One of the most beautiful pieces you could get. You guys see the clarity. Beautiful. We got aquamarine. And like I said, we have all price ranges here as well. We even have minier, smaller ones of the twisted. I got to make another one of these. This one just sold out. These are the blue Astros, the blue goldstone. They sparkle really amazing. Look at how they sparkle in the sun. Beautiful. Yeah, you know what, Charlotte? You gotta go on there and put your address in so I can actually make it an invoice and an order. Because right now when I can only make you an invoice without an address and it won't put you through as an order as well. So it won't show up in my thing. I could put it through, but it won't show up in my overall orders. So if you can please edit your account and put your address in. Last time you had to send it to me separately and it's not on your account. So once you edit your account and put your actual address in it, then I could send it to you. So I was gonna message you and tell you that. And you wanted an invoice for how many weeks apart? Just let me know. Message me the information too. Also, we got this is one of my favorite pieces here. Lightning Strike pink lithium Lemurian quartz. Beautiful piece. All sorts of products up here available. Natural citrine. Look at we have some of these purple flash. Very, very affordable products of all price ranges as well. And then remember, guys, we have all these drop downs. You got programmed crystals here. You got gift cards you could buy. You got where else is there drop downs? Crystals, look, all this. You got wands, clusters, palm stones, skulls, specimens, towers, everything. Tensors. If you want just to go through the tensors that we got tensors of pendants, and we got regular copper tensors as well. Harmonizers, all sorts of copper products in there. So you guys can find what you want. We also have readings available up here. Crystal skull readings. You could pick which crystal skull you want a reading from. All these different skulls available to get readings from. Definitely worth it. You can even sign up for a year's worth of readings. I even have people in my area coming to me in person sometimes for readings. So, and don't forget, we got merch here at the Mystical Spiral. We got merch, all sorts of merch. So we'll check that out at the end of the show as well. Welcome, guys. This is the Space Water Podcast, episode 22 here. And we're getting deep into it. Now, I don't know if people have out there how well versed you are in some of the lore behind Hinduism, even Tibetan Buddhism, but they talk about Garuda. Now, Garuda and the Naga, they go through this war, and this is secrets of nature and the universe and the sun and the stars in an incredible, eloquent, poetic way. Now, the great enemies of each other, but also relatives, right? These are solar beings that are not just fighting each other, but they're birthed from the same place. In fact, one is talked about as being a slave of the other at first, and then enemies, and then they're fighting each other. Remember, these are solar attributes. So this is the divine information about solar deities. So the gods are actually stars and suns, and the very special attributes that they wield, right, in their technology. And the Naga are described as snakes, right? So you can look at the Naga literally as, well, they're talked about as being from the waters. And unfortunately, they're translated in a lot of mysticism and esoteric writings now as they're emerging from lakes on earth. Right? But in actuality, they come from another world, a netherworld, a water netherworld that's outside of earth, right? The Patala that they talk about. And this netherworld is actually the plasma outside of Earth that's all over the universe, right? It is a plasma ocean. It is cosmic waters. And the Naga are the solar emissions that travel through the plasma waves like snakes. And this is groundbreaking. You can look at them partly as the Birkeland currents that's talked about in plasma physics and astrophysics. Right, Birkeland was probably like one of the grandfathers of plasma physics, and they call the Birkeland currents. Now, the Birkeland currents move around Earth as well, but they also move through the cosmos, right? And they move like snakes, also move like dolphins diving through the plasma waves, right? Just like the messengers of Apollo. Apollo is the sun, and his messengers are the dolphins, and the dolphins come from the sun, solar emissions, right? Same with the Naga snakes. And there's different types of Naga. You have Nagas that encircle the universe, sort of like a nebula of plasma, right? Millions of miles of light years long. You have Nagas that encircle Earth, that are involved inside the magnetosphere, like the magnetotail Naga, which is Vitra, right? And you have Nagas that are battling Garuda. Now, Garuda is talked about as this demigod, semi-divine being who appears and is symbolized as a golden giant bird, right? And he's a solar deity. And he's talked about as being a relative of the Naga. In fact, the Naga enslaves Garuda at first, and then Garuda is released and becomes an enemy of the Naga, right? So they're associated, right? Garuda sometimes is shown with a human head because he shields Earth, right? We're going to talk about this race of cosmic beings that are actually magnetospheres. There's many Garudas in solar systems like our own. There's a race of Garudas. Each Garuda is a magnetosphere shielding with its wings the planet. And in fact, the Garuda is birthed from the same place as the Naga, because what makes the magnetosphere is the solar plasma wind, right? The wings of the sun is what shapes our magnetosphere. And then that magnetosphere also fights off the solar emissions. It fights off the Naga. It even eats the Naga. It pulls in some of those solar emissions into the magnetotail. It swallows the night, just like in mythology, right? So Garuda is talked about as this giant, sometimes a gold. It's a golden bird. He's associated with gold. He's associated with humans. He's associated with the sun, and he's the aggressive and protective forces of the Devas gods, right? And he's fighting the Asuric Naga, right? And there's many Garuda magnetospheres in our solar system. The biggest Garuda is the Jovian Garuda of Jupiter. And this is literally talked about in the mythology. Garuda, there's a race of Garudas in mythology. And they're these whole race of golden winged beings that protect planets. They shield planets from the Naga. They even eat the Naga. And it's talked about how the Garuda, they live in the sky realm. They fly and they encircle Earth, actually. It's the magnetosphere. It's incredible, actually, because they didn't have uh like the solar orbiter technology with these sticks telescopes and advanced telescopes on them so they can look at sunspots and see coronal loops and all. They didn't have that. Maybe they did, but they didn't. It was ancient seers that had this deep inner insight that can see millions of miles with their deep sight. And they had this inner knowledge because they were harnessing stellar solar cosmic energy. And at one time, these races were in tune and evolving with nature and the universe and in harmony with each other. The Asura and Deva clans were once merged as one. They were not at war at the beginning. And then some of them started to use the knowledge against each other in different ways that they didn't agree with, and it brought the Vedic War. The Vedic War is over the spotted cows, which translates as the rays of light of the sun. They were fighting over the knowledge they were harnessing from the sun, literally streams of plasma, right? And the intelligence that comes within it. And there are all groups of cosmic beings that are in a different state of matter than we are. They're plasma beings, and they congregate and gather, dive into lightning storms and enter Earth, right? They're part of the plasma network. They're angelic hierarchy. They're all intelligences of suns and stars that we can't truly fathom. And we are, myself and various other people on the planet right now, are ancestral scribes that are waking up this ancient knowledge. There are false people out there. And I'll admit, it took me to awaken some of these cosmic answers. I had to go to battle for many, many years. I'll be 50 years old in a couple of years. In 4 years, I'll be 50 years old, less than 4 years, right? And it's taken me decades to be given the key of the Ankh as the coronal loop, right, that you see behind you. And that unlocked this plasma knowledge within me. Thank you, Dustin. Dustin Bishop. What's up, Charlotte, Magic, Micah, Johnny, everybody out there? We only got four of you. What are they not sharing my? They're not sharing my show tonight out there. So Garuda is known as this vehicle or mount for Vishnu, and he's a god of preservation. He's preserving Earth with his shield from cosmic radiation, right? And this cosmic radiation is DNA and RNA stripping, penetrating. Incredible, right? And Garuda, like I said, he was once a slave to the Naga, right? So what does this mean? He was the Naga, the solar emissions, the solar wind. He was owned by the solar wind at first, right? And then the ramming solar wind that comes from the sun, it formed the magnetosphere around our planet. It shapes it. So Garuda, yes, as at first he's a slave of the sun, of the solar wind. And then he's liberated by the solar wind and shapes the magnetosphere with his wings around Earth. And Garuda, this golden bird with his golden wings, is encircling Earth, the magnetosphere. And then he eats the Naga even. Not only does he shield Earth from the Naga, but he takes in the Naga. He eats them as well. And this is exactly what the magnetosphere does. He swallows them at night into the magnetotail. And this is how we get auroras, right? This is how we get all of that cosmic injections of plasma. And this, there's many mythologies that have been translated that this talking about this clash between the Naga and Garuda in a very primitive way, when in fact it's very advanced knowledge about the sun and and also the spiritual aspect behind it. And then they go deeper into some of the mythologies and stories that go along with Garuda, right? He comes from his mother Vinata, and he there's he sort of inherits his anger and his you know hatred for the Naga from his parents, from his mother, right? And there's stories that go along with this, but Garuda is no doubt, and the Jovian Garuda of Jupiter. We're going to get into that in another show. But this is one of the biggest objects in our solar system, right? The Jovian magnetosphere of Jupiter. And you can see Garuda circles above in the sky realm, his golden wings, right? And there are incredible depictions that depict plasma physics right inside of it. And I'll pull some up in a second. Hold on. Let me show you guys. Let me just get to it. I'll share screen in a moment. Let me just pull them up. What the hell is going on here? Damn, I can't even get to my I don't know what happened with that. Yo, what just happened to my that is so weird. My my email just like crashed. Holy shit. What is going on with this? Let me try to figure this out. What just happened to the whole thing? Damn. What the hell is going on here? This is crazy. There we go. Holy shit, my shit like it said it didn't exist for a few minutes. That is crazy. What just happened here? That is nuts. My whole email, it said it didn't exist. That was crazy. All right, so and it was like showing like some weird writing across the page, like when I was trying to pull it up. All right, let me share screen. All right, you guys can see my screen now, I think. All right, so we're gonna see some pictures of Garuda real quick. Now, as you can see, very interesting art here of Garuda in some places, right? Now, Garuda is looked at as a golden bird that protects Earth with his golden wings, his golden fire red wings, right? And he's even grabbing a Naga here. right? You guys can see, and look at the Naga. They're twisting together to even form loops, right? That's not by mistake. That is not just by accident. That is an ancient information that has been passed down, even if the artists aren't aware of the symbology and the deep knowledge that it contains within it. A lot of times the artists and the mystics, the bloodline, they're only copying mantras and stories and oral traditions and symbols of that's previously been sacred. They're most likely are not aware of the deep information incorporated in it, right? And the knowledge of the adepts were advanced in the solar sciences. And unfortunately, nowadays it's lost, but we have to reawaken it in us. And that's why, even if we aren't aware of who we are, there are thousands of us, if not more, right now on this planet that are ancestral scribes, ancient ancestral powerful beings that have been here before during Vedic times that are reawakening now. And we were once adepts, but we just don't come into this knowledge. It's not just given to us. We have to go to battle to figure it out. And then you'll start to have these experiences spiritually. Once you start to awaken the knowledge within you, the other unseen forces are aware you're aware of it. And then you'll see the connection that you have and the energy that you have to things will be on a different level. And you guys can see, look at some of the symbolism. It's hard to look at this one. Hold on, let me get another one. See, even Garuda, look at this symbolism here. It's incredible. Even how these form loops, you guys have seen the way corona loops form. Let me show you guys how they form in those figure eights like that. I'll show you guys. This is the Garuda. I mean, this big magnetosphere is the Garuda with his golden wings of the sun. You can see these loops, that's shown in all solar mythology. But I'll get to the one that I was looking for in a second. What the hell is just happening here? Show you guys. Hold on. Yeah, right here. This one. I mean, this right here is the solar deity is wielding it with Garuda. You guys see how these form? These coronal mass ejection loops. Well, that same symbolism you're seeing in here. Watch. And Garuda is holding that. And you see it in all sorts of staffs of Zeus, all symbologies. You'll see that in solar mythologies and stuff. Like here's Zeus, one of the staffs of Zeus. They have that symbol. And look, he's giving a ring. This is all solar deity, knowledge. It's in every culture. It's in every culture. Look at the coronal loop. This is Shamash, the sun god, right? It's incredible. And you could see the cosmic waves on him. Look, the cosmic waters, the plasma waters. And look at they're doing. They got magnetic field lines that they're twisting to harness the star, to let sunspots come from the star, right? Twisting magnetic field lines here. You see what they're doing? They're twisting cords that form the rays of the sun, the sunspots, the coronal mass ejections. And Shamash is handing the coronal loop to it. And this ejaculation is like the burst of the sun spot. You see what I'm saying here? All the symbolism. And he's sitting on the two lions, the binary star. It's all solar symbolism, and it's incredible. You could see the loop, the coronal loop. That is the Ankh. And the Garuda is shaped by the ramming force of the solar wind. So when we get this symbolism, it really is very advanced knowledge that we're losing out on, right? And Garuda and the Naga are at war with each other because the magnetosphere is at war with the solar emissions. And, you know, the origin story of the Vedic families, you know, there's 5 ancient Vedic peoples that make up the two sides, that make up the Asuras, which are the Kshatriyas, the warriors, and then the priests, which are the Brahmins, the Devas. All right, so these Devas and Asuras, they're divine beings, but they also have races on the planet that are directly put here by the solar gods, by the sun, right? Which means streams of plasma are bringing those codes to the planet to create life. The sun's rays creates life. So we are the children of the sun. We are the sons of the sun. And the origin story of Garuda is very interesting in itself as well. But the origin story, yeah, Big Bird, yeah, you know, those, our collective consciousness, just like with Wonder Woman and the Golden Lasso. Yeah, I'm pretty sure whoever made the comic book didn't realize the solar significance of the golden lasso coming from the sun. But that is embedded in us. This knowledge is embedded in us. That's why it gives us goosebumps. It await when we hear certain things, our bodies respond. Now, the origin story of the Vedic people have deep knowledge veiled within it that's given very earthly attributes. This is how mythology is developed and carried on and given oral traditions, because they're given earthly stories and names and scenarios so people remember these stories, right? Because if they had advanced knowledge of the cosmos, people would not be able to retain it and pass it down. They have to have something that's rememberable, right? And this is how these oral traditions were passed down. And the origin story of the Vedic people, talk about the first 5 Vedic people coming here from across the waters. And unfortunately, scholars translate this as warriors in India, when the waters in India were named after their cosmic counterparts. And it's incredible info about the Vedic dynasties and their origins and how they were brought here by across the cosmic waters. You know, they came over here, and these 5 Vedic peoples formed those two sides of the Asuras and the Devas, right? And you have the origin story of Yayati and his 5 sons. And these 5 sons are ultimately the 5 Vedic people. It's an incredible example of the Vedic dynasties and their and how they arrived here, right? And it gives a good way of being able to retain it and pass it down. King Yayati is this ancient Vedic king that's talked about as having two wives. The first wife is Devayani, who was a daughter of the Brigu, who are one of the oldest of the Vedic families, right? And they had the first wife, Devayani, and the king Yayati, they had their first two children, right? Turvasa and Yadu. Now, these are two of the main Vedic people, two of the older of the five Vedic peoples, the Turvasa and the Yadu. Now, this this shows the very first Vedic kings were direct offsprings of the Kshatriya and the Brahmins, the Brigu Brahmins, right? So that's the first of the Vedic kings that came here on earth that were created from the sun, right? That came over here on streams of light. They were direct offspring of both the warriors and the Brahmins, right? They were Asura and Devas united, right? They come from the same origins, these warrior priest clans, these shepherd priests, right? They all come from the same origins. Some are predominantly the warrior priests, and some are more the priest warrior, right? Now, as Turvasa and Yadu were saved from across the sea in this story, right? It talks about how they're saved and they're brought from over the seas, right? And the Brigu is a direct son of Varuna in the story. And who is Varuna? Varuna's the solar ocean. He's the god of the solar ocean. So the solar ocean's giving birth to the Brigu, the oldest of the Vedic families, right? And then the second wife of Yayati, King Yayati, was Sharmishta, right? This Sharmishta, this is his second wife now, and they bring the daughter of an Asura king, right? Vrishra Parvan. With her, he had the Anu, the Druyu, and the Pudru people. Now, the Anu is where you get the Anunnaki. The Druyu is where you even get like later on the Druids. And then you get the Puru. You got like the Persians names come from these, all of these names, right? They all stem from these Vedic families. And they talking about cosmic forces that have been used to create life on planetary systems. Right? It's incredible. And then you have various locations in the Vedic and Hindu writings that, all over the Hindus and the Vedic writings, you have advanced knowledge about solar phenomenon, solar activity, stellar activity, and the sun being accessed and harnessed, not just to align them with the flow of nature and the universe and evolve with it, but it's also harnessed as a weapon and a cosmic force that can create life, sustain life, evolve life, and destroy life if it need be, right? And it's talking about harnessing this through the sound of the light, right? How the light of the sun, the various plasma forces of the stars, the light has different frequencies and sounds and plasma resonance cones that pour the light into these resonance cones and string it out across the universe. It's incredible. And these writings are discussing, many of them are written in hymns and mantras for chanting to align yourself using the ancient Sanskrit knowledge. The Sanskrit language was developed to attune our vibration with the primal sounds of the universe, right? Incredible. Incredible. Literally, it's developed off of Shiva's cosmic drum. That's how it's discussed. Right? And Shiva's cosmic drum is the sun. And it's called the language of the gods for a reason. Every vowel, every way of pronouncing Sanskrit words is a different way of using like your palate, the roof of your mouth, all different ways of making these sounds that are the primal sounds of the universe, right? And doing them in mantra and hymn form in specific mathematical alignments with the sun and different star systems, right? There's a reason why they chant certain mantras 108 times, right? This has to do with the different distances between Earth and the sun and aligning us to the distance mathematically to the sun. And the sound and vibration and the chant literally aligns you with the primal sounds of the universe, of the sun, bringing your vibration to the vibration of the solar system, right? The cosmic force aligning with yourself, right? It's connecting to the spinal current of your existence. And this is what Sanskrit was developed in mantra and hymn form. It's groundbreaking information when I'm telling you that the Garudas are magnetospheres and they're a race of cosmic beings. Groundbreaking, very groundbreaking. And you're hearing it here. And we have various places on the planet that you don't realize that are completely connected to the Vedic bloodlines. Even Sardinia in Italy, right off the coast of Italy, the island, right? Sardinia has towns and places right out of Vedic terminology and writings, right? They have a place called Siddhi, Siddi. That's right from Vedic. That's right from Hindu, right? It's an advanced seer is a Siddhi with high psychic abilities and telepathic abilities is a Siddhi. It's spelled Siddhi. Well, in Sardinia, you have places called Manu. You have places called Siddhi, and the ancient Phoenician race is a direct descendant of Vedic bloodlines, Asura, warrior bloodlines. And this is directly where the Persians come from as well. I mean, look in the Persian Avesta, right? That's the mystical writings of the Persians. I have one of the parts right here, the Zendavesta part 2 of 3 right here. Just open it up. There's Vedic mantras and chants before every verse. They talk about the Asuras. I mean, they're right here. I'm looking it up. Look at this right here. I opened up one page. To Atar, the son of Ahura Mazda, with all Atars, to the god Naryo Sangha, who dwells in the navel of kings, to the good waters made by Mazda, to the holy water spring Ardvi Anahita, to all waters made by Mazda. They're to the undying, shining, swift-horsed sun. Do you realize all the plasma and solar information that they're giving you in here, right? And when you're talking about Persians, you're talking about hymns and mantras in the Zendavesta, where you're harnessing to light to give you more powers in the material realm. It's a very materialistic warrior, dominating, flashy, materialistic, greedy sort of look good vibe. What's up, Isaac? We're talking about the Garuda Magnetosphere races of the solar system. if you're just tuning in, how Garuda, with his golden wings, is shielding and eating the Naga being the Birkeland currents and the solar emissions, the divine information coming from the waters. And this show, of course, is sponsored by the mysticalspiralstore.com. You guys can go to my patreon.com/the mystical spiral and sign up. I just had some people buy stuff off my Patreon that never even made it to my website. People on Patreon get first access to my new products as well. Incredible. Yeah, I mean, Garuda, if you're just joining us, definitely go back, you know, and see what I'm talking about when I describe the Garudas and the Naga. The term Naga literally means like snake, but it's a cosmic snake from the cosmic waters, you know, and usually they have to do with emerging from a cosmic lake, right? And there's all different Nagas. And Naga stillies and different symbols that they have, they usually are shown as twisting snakes that form loops, right? And this is what the magnetic field lines do and solar emissions do. You know, many different seals and of the Naga, you know, and some are these giant Nagas of and look what they are, like even like the Ilapatra, right? He's one of the biggest Naga that there is. You know, unfortunately, they translate the Naga as being the waters of Earth, but the waters on Earth are just named after their cosmic origins. And yeah, unfortunately, a lot of mystics and Buddhists and Hindu, they represent the Naga as emerging from different lakes on India, right? And unfortunately, this has been mistranslated. But the waters on Earth are directly here in communication with the light from the sun. So the Nagas that come through our magnetosphere and come out as auroras. They go into the lakes. They take root in certain lakes on our planet. Right? My Nagas. Yeah, my Nagas. Yeah. So Ilapatra, right? He's the great watery serpent, the guardian of the West. He's also talked about as the sunset waters, right? They arise from the primal waters of existence, right? Out of the Patala, right? And you'll see Ilapatra, his image and seal is a twisting snake that forms a loop. And he's talked about as being like millions of miles and things like this. He's a boat of plasma, a big snake of plasma. And you have all these different Nagas that are very shrouded in a lot of mystery, right? And it's incredible when you start to realize how they're describing Garuda. It's incredible description of a magnetosphere. I mean, he's birthed from the same place as the Naga. He was once a slave of the Naga, right? So the plasma wind, it owns the Garuda at first. And then as the plasma wind comes out, the roaring winds of the sun is what forms the magnetosphere. So Garuda, yes, he was once a slave to the sun until he was released and liberated by the sun. And then by the roaring force of the sun, shaped his wings around Earth. And not only does he protect Earth from the Naga, he also eats the Naga. He takes in the solar emissions in the magnetosphere. It's incredible. And they're a race of golden birds that are solar deities of the Devas, right? They have to do with the protective forces of the sun, the protective forces of Earth. They are shielding Earth from the solar Naga emissions and the Birkeland currents, right? There are a whole race of Garudas all over this universe. In our solar system, the biggest one is the Jovian Jupiter Garuda. Right? He's associated with sun and solar power, and the Naga are sometimes associated with the moon, but it's more like the sun at night. They're associated with the waters of the underworld, right? Because at night, the magnetotail takes in the solar emissions, and the magnetotail is a big Naga, Vitra. It's a big snake that lays down on the night side. Yeah, plasma waters is a great conductor as well. You've got the electricity moving through the plasma, the snakes. Like I said, it's the same thing in Apollo when they talk about the messengers of Apollo being the dolphins, right? Because you have Apollo, which is the sun, and then his messengers are the dolphins. And the dolphins are diving through the plasma waves the same way that information moves through the plasma waves, right? They dive through the ocean the same way the information moves through the plasma waves from the sun. And they're talked about as the messengers of the sun, the messengers of Apollo, right? And then Apollo shown holding them on these leashes, these magnetic field lines, right? It's incredible, right? He's holding the dolphins on the leashes as they're diving through the plasma waves towards Earth. They're the messengers of the sun. That's advanced solar and plasma physics. It's incredible, right? And then Ganesha is all about this as well. Ganesha is shown always with that loop in his hand, and he also has to do with the cosmic Naga snakes, right? And coming from the waters. You have giant Nagas that are possibly nebulas of plasma, right? You have the big ones like Sesha, the Anata Naga, also called the Sesha, right? And he's this like primordial cosmic waters being serpent that encircles the universe, similar to the Ouroboros, right? Which it could be their universe. They could be talking about the solar system, or they could be talking about the whole universe, right? But he's also at the beginning and end of Kalpas as well, right? It's incredible knowledge here, incredible knowledge. And like I said, in Sardinia, they have, and you guys, you could support me right here in the super chat. You could support me at the moontribe712 at hotmail.com. That's my PayPal, or the Mystical Spiral. You can find my PayPal at themysticalspiral.com. Also, I do readings right on my website, life-changing readings, everybody. So you guys can check that out at themysticalspiral.com. This show today is sponsored by themysticalspiralstore.com. You guys can see I pulled it up earlier. Hold on. Let me show you guys. All new products. Let me share screen. All new products up today. I've been putting up products every day. We got some mini skulls up. Look at these amazing fluorite one. Highest quality fluorite. Really cool. Beautiful skulls here. And then you got everything you could possibly want on here. Palm stones, skulls, pendants, tensor tools, everything here. And I even made some cute little, really affordable shungite and silver copper pendants here. Really cute ones as well. Some of them even have rainbow on the shungite. Very high quality. And then we got the next level tensor tool pendants. Warrior gear for your mind, body, and soul, everybody. It's taken me years to perfect our devices, healing devices, and you can wear them as jewelry as well. And we also have all sorts of crystals and gemstones and everything you can need here at the Mystical Spiral store. We also have incredible merch. Don't forget our merch. We got merch, we have readings, we have gift cards you could buy, programmed crystals and gemstones. We got all sorts of crystal balls, bracelets, clusters, freeforms, palm stones, skulls, specimens, towers, wands, tensors, harmonizers, pendants, and we got, like I said, even merch. There will be a Space Water podcast t-shirt and clothing up soon. But right now we have the Spiral Out Champion sweatshirts that are really dope, and other shirts as well. These are official champion Spiral Outs, official champion ones. Really cool. And they got the champion logo on the arm, you see? Really official. And then they have the Eye of the Horus on the back. Really, really high quality. Let me show you the backs. It's got the Eye of Horus on the back. Really dope. So you guys can check that out at your convenience. And if you go to my Patreon and sign up on my Patreon for $8 a month or more, contact me. And after your first month's payment, you can get your own coupon code. Like I said, in Sardinia as well, it's a place we're going to get into in the next podcast. I have all sorts of testimonies from people that live in Sardinia talking about giant skeletons that have been taken out of there and all sorts of places that are related to the giants and ancient culture here. And, you know, the giant graves are found everywhere in Sardinia. They have nuragis, these ancient nuragi civilizations and megaliths all over Sardinia. And Sardinia was pretty much untouched until the 1960s and 1970s. So there's a lot of people here that are still alive today that were there and that were hired to help excavate these tombs and were ordered by the church and various other authorities to destroy the bones because they were demonic and destroy the mummies. That you can even see the tendons of some of these mummies that were these mummies now were 3 to 4 meters long, huge giants, right? Up to 15 feet, some of them. And they were mummified so well that you can see the tendons. Luigi Muscus is a good guy to interview. I called him in Sardinia and spoke Italian with him last year. He has incredible stories, and his whole family is from a little area in Sardinia that only has about a couple of families that live in there, you know, and it's really incredible, some of the stories of not just the giants' tombs, but plasma intelligences, in my opinion, they're talking about. He's talking about walking stars, stars that walk. And the village that they live in is it's Pauli Arbore. It's a place in Sardinia. Pauli Arbore. It's spelled Pauli Arbarea. Arbore. Pauli Arbore. It's a little village, a shepherd's village in Sardinia, right? Where a lot of giant skeletons were excavated out, and you know they have places like Luna Matrona Sidi, right? And you know there's so many people that during the 60s and 70s they were making roads and excavating places and finding these skeletons all over, you know, bigger than a Fiat, they were described it, you know, 3 meters. And the skeletons would, as soon as they would be discovered, they would be taken away. They would disappear or they would be destroyed. And the church was ordering this, right? They were, you know, because when these discoveries were made by the locals, they're very religious people as well. They would have to go tell the priest about it, and the priest would tell them to destroy it, or they would tell the military to come get it, right? You also have various places called, like in Sardinia, Sorisi, like almost like Sirius, right? Sorisi is another place. Uh, what's up, Sarah Shipman? Sup? Many large bones and places were taken out, all over, right? They have places called the Tomb of the Giants, all of this. But yeah, the if you go into any mythology about Aryan mythology, into the Hindu mythology, or any of the solar mythologies, you're going to find some advanced knowledge that we've lost. And like I said, I am one of these ancient ancestral scribes that have been born again, and we're awakening this knowledge again now before we lose it forever. There's a reason why sacred knowledge was etched in tablets and in stone recorded into megalithic sites and different symbolisms, because cataclysms happen. All these things, libraries get lost. And now we no longer are putting our sacred knowledge into tablets of pottery and stone and things like this. We're putting it into the internet, and we could lose it forever with one impulse from the sun. So it's very important that we awaken it within our collective consciousness once again, so we can awaken this knowledge to find out who we are, where we fit in all of this, and where we're going. Yeah, fortunately, they didn't tell anybody about my live show tonight. There was like 5 people in it for half the show. But thank you guys for joining me. This has been an incredible broadcast. Go to the mysticalspiralstore.com to support me. You can also donate to support me right here. Also, we'll be doing a show coming up with Professor Chandra Raman Singh on the Space Water podcast, and some other exciting guests are going to be coming soon as well. I'll be doing a couple of shows a week. I'm also starting an audio podcast on the Forbidden Knowledge News Network. So you're going to be seeing that as well. And of course, sign up at my Patreon, patreon.com/the mystical spiral. This has been Space Water Podcast, episode 22, sponsored by the mysticalspiralstore.com. We'll see you soon. The Garuda Magnetosphere races of the solar system. Tonight, right here for the first time, you've heard it. Right here on the Space Water Podcast. Groundbreaking information about subjects scholars have been debating about, mystics have been debating about for hundreds of years. Right here tonight on the Space Water Podcast. Thank you for joining me. My name is Castaldo. You can find me at the mysticalspiralstore.com and